there was three. Do you want to talk about the rings?
Yeah,
three themes that showed.
Three themes represent the ring in this score. The first that you'll hear, which is very, very near the beginning of the film, is the history of the ring. And this is heard every time the ring changes hands, when it moves through the prologue. Eventually it goes from Gollum to Bilbo, you hear it. When Bilbo drops it on the floor and Frodo picks it up, you hear it. And this sort of marks the ring's passage through Middle-earth's history.
It's the passing of time, and how the ring goes from one person to another, yes.
But there's maybe an even more potent ring theme, which would be the seduction of the ring.
Right, the history of the ring, you always hear, usually played with the strings.
Yeah.
You usually hear with the violins playing that thing. Seduction of the ring theme.
Boys.
You hear it for the boys, yes. And I used a boy choir in London that did the recording, but tonight you hear the children's choir. It's actually a mixed choir, and I split them. Part of the children are here, and they're on the other side, and they sing this very pure phrase for the, we call the seduction of the ring, and it's really this sort of, it's part of the tyranny of it, really. But it's done with these children, this really pure sound, which gives it, I think, more of a
seductive from it.
Yeah.
Certainly. It's those of you who will understand bits of the text. It's promising to solve all the problems of, Boromir sees this ring. He could fix all of Gondor's problems if he only claimed this ring. So it's the ring really luring you and saying, this will take care of everything. Just put me on and we'll solve everything.
And then there's the evil of the ring.
Right?
Yes. And I used an African instrument, a rieta. It's a double reed instrument, but you'll hear it played by the oboe tonight, and it's a very brutal type of very strong melodic phrase, very reedy and strong.
It's sort of similar to the history of the ring, just some of the intervals bent a little bit further this direction or that. So it's got similar, and you'll hear that throughout the score, similar shapes moved in slight changes of direction to represent something else. And I guess that goes back as well to Tolkien's writing, where there's so many connections between everything he writes. It's just the details that make up all these differences. Speaking of which, I suppose we should talk about the difference between, we've mentioned the Elvish music, the Elvish text, and that's a very feminine sound, very choral, some light metallic percussion chimes, things like that.
Well, Tolkien, the beauty of the work is in the contrast that he shows. So he doesn't just show you one world of elves, he shows you two. And you'll meet both cultures tonight. You go to Rivendell first, which is a more learned, more sophisticated world. And the structure, compositionally, the structure is a little more architectural and very flowing and fitting the architecture also of the creation of the production of Rivendell. Whereas Lothlorien, which you enter after Moria, is a much more mysterious, more exotic world, and the orchestration is very different and how the music is constructed. And so I'm trying to show contrast between Elvish cultures. And later on in the story, you also see contrast between the world of men, of Rohan and Gondor, and even Eastern cultures. So between Isengard and Sauron. So the contrasts are really what adds so much to the beautiful depth and complexity of the world, because he doesn't just show you one thing. He doesn't just show you left. He shows you left, right, north, south, up and down. And so you get a more fully formed picture of Middle-earth.